Hi Leo, here is a general look at your solar chart for May 2015, and every year at this time the Sun is at the top of your solar chart. So this is the time for you to be more aware of your position in the world, your responsibilities across the wider stage. So it's career, it's profession, but it's also your goals, the targets you want to reach, and your where you're going really with it all. This is a special time for you because you're at the beginning of a new 12-year cycle with Jupiter, a Jupiter cycle with Jupiter in your sign. So for all you sun sign Leos and you rising sign Leos, this is the time to grasp the mettle and especially at the moment with Jupiter aligning with Uranus. A little bit wider this month, but still they're bouncing and sizzling electrically off each other. So this is taking you onto a new track in life. And of course we can resist, but this will be your opportunity to think in new colors, for a breath of fresh air to come into your life in general. Jupiter will be in your sign until April. As the month begins, you got the Sun at the top of your chart. You've also got Mars there, which means that you may be more aware of the rules implied by society, by bureaucracy, red tape, authority figures, that kind of thing. Mars there as well means that you may be putting more physical effort or being more decisive and dynamic in meeting your commitments, chasing after your goals, aiming at certain targets, and being having to be more aware of the impression you're making on others, and maybe doing what you can to improve, or to at least to make the impression that you want to make on others, whether it's piercings and tattoos, or whether it's sort of, you know, combing your hair with a parting and polishing your shoes. So whatever type it is, and if you manage to keep you cool and not be too hasty, you will make progress with the master plan, but also with lesser goals and ambitions too. Now, we've got a few run-ins with Saturn this month, extremely fleeting, but worth a mention if you're wanting to plan ahead. And Mercury is doing a couple of things this month. In the first week, Mercury is running across opposing Saturn, and then which will tend to slow things down a little bit, or put more on your mind, more pressure on you, the to-do list, the scheduling, whatever. But then from the 19th, Mercury goes retrograde. That's a good time for you to be separating the wheat from the chaff with friends, or within the group that you are collectively connected to, or plugged into, or, you know, online with, or the club, the association, the circle, whatever it is. It's just sort of kind of having a quiet little review and taking stock there, maybe, because you will need good quality buddies or useful contacts on board to facilitate your progress in the future. And because Mercury is going to be going on the go slow like this, and because Mercury is in that sector of your solar chart, then that would be a good thing to be doing with that energy, instead of gnashing your teeth and tearing out your hair and wondering why people don't turn up, or don't sort of follow up, or maybe it's, you know, something else that's holding you back and delaying you, etc., etc. Or just maybe, you know, you had thought you'd be further forward by then, but you weren't when you get there, which you haven't done yet, especially if you listen to this in April. So sometimes it's sort of like pinging and ponging between the past to the future, and back to the past and back to the future again. Not so much the ponging perhaps, but a little bit of pinging going on there. And then Venus. Venus is a friend of yours. She is warming up your friendships and your associations. That's only in the first week, though, or rather a day more than the first week. She leaves there on the 8th. But up until the 8th, you could feel quite supported, and you could feel, and others could feel that you're supporting them as you sort of move and navigate your way through those types of relationships, which maybe aren't very close relationships, but are nevertheless useful, and you can pool forces and resources and knowledge with them. And they could see you as somebody who is enabling them and facilitating them. And it's a generally positive energy. And then Venus moves out of there on the 8th, as I say, and goes into a more quiet backwater of your chart, where you may be touching base with your core energies, with your deeper self, but also other things. You could be feeling a bit sort of nostalgic or self-indulgent, or just kind of drifting, wanting to escape, and maybe that's fine, depending on the timing of it all. But this is a good time for you to use that balancing energy to get well, or to get stronger. And also you're likely to find somebody who has an empathy, who has an understanding of your inner needs. You're more likely to find that person there. This is an area of higher service as well. So it would be, sometimes you'll be called upon to put your personal desires on one side and just be there for others, or be there for some kind of common good in some way. But also the good idea at this time for you would be for you to immerse yourself in some very nurturing pursuit, which just takes you out of yourself, like making something with your hands, or whatever other way that you'd like to do it, But it's a very imaginative area. It's an area of dreams and working from the inner planes to manifest beautiful, wonderful, maybe lucrative things for yourself in the future. Okay, so we've got Mars and the Sun really working hard to kind of get out there more in the world, but then Mars leaves that area and then goes into this very progressive area. So at the same time as Venus is having you treat yourself more gently, and is having you sort of deliberately taking time out in the day for more rest and relaxation, Mars is in really sort of assertive, dynamic mode, with connections, networking, sharing knowledge, learning together, or doing projects or whatever it is together. But it's definitely to do with groups, and it's definitely to do with friends, whether they are, old friends or new associations. Mars can be a bit pushy and demanding, and you might feel like you've got quite a lot on your shoulders on behalf of others. But this is in general a progressive phase. So if you can strike the right balance between, not saying yes too many times, rather putting the no sign up on your door, not at home, what was that that somebody told me once? Meditation in progress, out of the body, so do not disturb. So just, you've got to strike that balance always. But definitely, if you do get that balance right, which then gives you the more power and energy to really, really use this Mars transit, which will be there from the 12th for about 6 weeks, well, in a progressive, future-orientated way, to really get the ball rolling on something that maybe you've waited a very, very long time to do, then this is your chance. Because after that, Mars goes into a much quieter, more, sort of subdued mood. Now, the Sun moves on the 21st and comes into the same area as the Sun. So it looks like you're really kind of out there and mixing and mingling with others in a career sort of sense, but also meeting targets and meeting certain obligations and certain standards as well that you want to come up to, and thinking about image, thinking about how you come across to others a little bit more, having to think about that a little bit more, networking, group connections, friendships as well, feeding you there over May. Now we've got also Mars going across Saturn, and that's the beginning of the third week. So that again is a very brief encounter. However, it can be a bit of a downer. It can sort of pull the plug out of your energy, or just mean that you have got more pressure on you and you are carrying a heavier load. And then the last Saturn connection this month of any, note is, apart from the moon, of course, is the Sun opposing Saturn in the first half of the last week, resulting in a brief dip in confidence maybe, or challenges for you to overcome. And you're just feeling a little bit maybe less enthusiastic then, for whatever the reason. Okay, so Saturn, now Saturn's in a very positive angle to your sun sign anyway, and this is coming to an end because Saturn is retrograding back into the previous area where she was for about 2 years, and she's going to be doing that later on in June, so more of that later. So at the moment, you can be very successful if you do take the long view in the area of creative projects, of romantic connections, of investment projects, anything to do with creative art, performance art, leisure industry, and anything to do with children, young people, pets. You just need to have this kind of more philosophical, less frantic approach as you kind of meet obstacles, or there's going to be ups and downs there sometimes, you really, in order to enjoy the ride, not to be too pressing, because it's no good trying to hurry Saturn up. Saturn is a planet, is a great teacher actually, but she teaches often through testing us in very, very sometimes harsh ways, or in uncomfortable ways. Then maybe not so much harsh, although it can feel like that, but it's ways where we have been slacking or lagging behind. She will just keep sort of hammering on that point. So then we it's a bit like resistance, sort of weights. She gets us those muscles that have got weakened. She through this resistance that she puts up, she gets us stronger, and then we can sort of party our way through life again. But you might feel a little bit limited in the love department, or limited because of children, limited because of animals, limited because of a lack of creative inspiration, or maybe it's hard going with something creative, or something you've invested your energies or your money into in some other way. But that's because of this testing to get you muscled up, to get you stronger. And you Leos born the 23rd to the 27th of July, or with 0 to 4 degrees rising, going to feel that energy the most. So really the advice here is just to keep on trucking, really, and keep on going in the direction where in your heart you want to end up. And then Jupiter is in your sign, and that's until August. So this is time for a real growth spurt. So at this time now, despite the Saturn, and Saturn is in a very good supportive angle to your sun sign, so I shouldn't say that really, because if you get to understand the Saturn rhythm and the Saturn style, you can be very successful with Saturn. Jupiter, though, is in your sign, and so this is time for you to be opening up to new horizons, to new realizations about the potential that you have for yourself in your life, no matter what your age. And more travel is likely to be on the cards, or more interaction with different types of people that you're not used to is likely to be on the cards. Higher education maybe, or just education of any kind, whether it's formal or informal, is likely to be on the menu as well. But try not to overlook important details and go too far, too fast, and expand too quickly. That's the only thing. But this is your opportunity to think bigger and reach for the prize, you know, whatever that means to you. And you, Leo, is born the 4th to the 9th of August, or with 12 to 17 degrees rising. You're going to feel that energy the most this forecast period. And remember what I said about Jupiter on Uranus. There's a real sort of opportunity for being catapulted off into pastures new with this transit going on, which has been going on over March, and they're still close enough together over May, and then they come closer together again over June, or second half of June anyway. And that's it for May. So if you know your rising sign and your moon sign, listen to those. And also you can read this up on my website. The basics are all written up on my website for this month, and I'll see you again the next time.